Hours before the discovery of a slain 14-year-old inside a University of New Mexico dorm, a Valencia County dispatcher received a frantic call from a woman reporting her son was on a roof, couldn't breathe, and was hallucinating. Thousands of Albuquerque public schools teachers poured into the Albuquerque Convention Center on Monday morning as the district, in collaboration with the teachers union, hosted a first-of-its-kind ceremonial back-to-school event in conjunction with workshops and training. A recent ethics complaint against Senate President Pro Tem Mimi Stewart marked the first time in years a misconduct allegation led to a public hearing in New Mexico. After a rainy July, New Mexico is entering a stretch of hot, dry weather with heat advisories in effect and temperatures expected to hit 100 degrees or more in certain parts of the state. And Albuquerque's 2 JCPenney stores are among the 119 nationwide that are being sold to a Massachusetts-based real estate firm. From the Albuquerque Journal, this is the leading news. I'm Gino Gutierrez. It's Tuesday, August 5th, and I'll have more on those stories in a few moments, plus a look at Albuquerque's weather forecast on the other side of this break.
This episode is sponsored by the Kirtland Partnership Committee, a proud partner in supporting Kirtland Air Force Base and its vital role in New Mexico. From growing mission sets to improving quality of life for service members and families, KPC works every day to help Kirtland's workforce thrive. It's about partnership, progress, and a strong future for national security right here in Albuquerque. Discover more at kpcabq.org.
Hours before the discovery of a slain 14-year-old inside a University of New Mexico dorm, a Valencia County dispatcher received a frantic call from a woman reporting her son was on a roof, couldn't breathe, and was hallucinating. With more on that 911 call and how it ties into the tragic shooting, I'm now joined by Journal reporter Nikayla McClellan, who reported on this story alongside investigative reporter Colleen Heald. Nikayla, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So Nikayla, as we touched on at the top, this 911 call does tie into the larger story of what took place on the UNM campus that led to the shooting death of 14-year-old Michael Lamont. What can you tell us about what you and Colleen learned about this call?
Yeah, so investigative reporter Colleen Heald had put in an Inspection of Public Records Act request, received a 911 call from the mother of John Fuentes, who had called and reported Fuentes as missing just a couple hours before the following events that had happened at UNM that day.
And Nikayla, as your story kind of lays out, this phone call was a very frantic one. What can you tell us about the details of what was said during the call?
Fuentes' mother calls and reported her son, said that her son had actually called his father first, and he was on the roof of a building. He was shirtless and frantic. The parents were concerned that maybe he had possibly been drugged or that he had taken drugs that were laced, and that he was just acting in a very concerning manner, and they didn't know where he was at all.
And a very interesting part of the story, Nikayla, is where Fuentes says he was when he made that phone call, and that was on a roof, and that ties into the larger story here, right?
Right. So there are some court records that showed that there was blood on the top of the Mesa Vista building at UNM. Fuentes was, calling his parents saying that he was on top of the roof of a building. And so it kind of ties in with what we already know about the investigation and adds some new details to what may have happened before.
So this 911 call adding a new layer to the ongoing investigation into what exactly happened on the early hours of that Friday morning that led to the death of 14-year-old Michael Lamont, and how this phone call may play a part in the future. Nikayla, thank you so much for joining me and sharing the latest with us.
Thank you, Gino.
Thousands of Albuquerque public schools teachers poured into the Albuquerque Convention Center on Monday morning as the district, in collaboration with the teachers union, hosted a first-of-its-kind ceremonial back-to-school event in conjunction with workshops and training. With more on this unique event, I'm now joined by the Journal's education reporter Noah Kalabach, who was there on Monday. Noah, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Gina.
So Noah, obviously this event on Monday, the first of its kind, what can you share with us on what you saw and heard while you were there?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a first of its kind event from the district. They basically invited all of the teachers district-wide to do these different trainings with each other and really learn from their peers. It comes as part of this broader kind of ask from the union that, hey, we don't really want consultants telling us how to do our jobs. We don't want outside parties. We want to learn from each other. And so that's really what took place today. The city let them use a convention center, and it was a partnership between the teachers union and the district that kind of allowed for this training to take place.
And speaking of the teachers union, Noah, you had a chance to speak with their president about the event. What did she tell you?
Yeah, Ellen Bernstein is the longtime president of ATF, the Albuquerque Teachers Federation, and she did say, from the stage on Monday, she was like, this is what you guys asked for, we're doing it. When I spoke to her like later in the day, she sounded pretty happy and pleased with how the event went. So yeah, it seems like spirits are up for the teaching staff ahead of the new school year.
And Noah, the timing of this event is very interesting because it comes as the teachers union is in the middle of ratifying its new contract with the district.
Yeah, that's correct. There really aren't huge changes being ratified in this contract. One of the things that's going to change is teachers who have to do a little bit extra work outside of the classroom, typically like department heads, they're going to get a little bit more compensation for their work. We've also they're changing basically the next steps plans for students. So it changes the way that their advisory periods are done. And the idea that the union states in an email is like, we're going to increase, but by changing the structure, we're going to increase the amount of time that students and teachers get to form relationships with each other. There's a couple other little language things here and there, but those seem to be the primary changes looking into it.
And Noah, while you were at the event on Monday, you also had a chance to speak with Albuquerque Public Schools Superintendent Gabriella Blakey. What were you able to glean from your conversation with her?
Yeah, that's correct. I got to interview Dr. Blakey after the event, and she was pretty reserved about the contract. She basically said, there's nothing huge in here. We're comfortable with it. We're fine with it. And that makes sense. The district has to negotiate their side of the contract as well. So these ratified changes come after months of bargaining between ATF and APS. So, naturally, both sides are pretty okay with what's the language being proposed, or the proposed ratifications and the language of the contract.
So as roughly 64,000 APS students prepared to return to the classroom this Thursday, teachers getting a head start on some development and training on Monday at the first of its kind APS event. Albuquerque Journal education reporter Noah Kalabach stopping by to share the latest with us. Thanks, Noah.
Hey, thanks for having me, Gino, and happy new school year to our listeners.
In other headlines from the newsroom, a recent ethics complaint against Senate President Pro Tem Mimi Stewart marked the first time in years a misconduct allegation led to a public hearing in New Mexico, but it was ultimately dismissed along party lines. Over the past 5 years, 17 complaints have been filed against lawmakers, yet all but Stewart's were resolved privately, raising concerns about transparency and fairness. Critics, including former Senator Mark Moores, say the current system is partisan and lacks accountability, while others, including Senator Caney Duhigg, acknowledge the need for reform. Confidentiality rules and limited public access to ethics investigations further fuel public distrust in the process. After a rainy July, New Mexico is entering a stretch of hot, dry weather, with heat advisories in effect today and temperatures expected to hit 100 degrees Fahrenheit or more in places like Albuquerque and Roswell. July brought heavy rains to some areas. Tucumcari saw 6.55 inches, while Farmington only received 0.07 inches. Ruidoso had significant rainfall as well, including the tragic July 8th flash flood that killed 3 people. Now with temperatures climbing into the upper 90s and hundreds, residents are urged to stay hydrated and cool. In Albuquerque, the city will activate sprinklers at local parks during the hottest hours of the day as part of Operation Cool Down 2025, with the goal of offering free relief from the heat. And Albuquerque's 2 JCPenney stores located in Coronado Center and Cottonwood Mall are among the 119 nationwide that are being sold to a Massachusetts-based real estate firm. Despite the sale, the stores will remain open with no impact on operations, according to a JCPenney spokesperson. The $947 million all-cash deal is set to close by September 8th. The properties are being sold by Copper Properties Control, passed through a trust, which became landlord over 160 JCPenney stores following the retailer's 2020 bankruptcy. The leading news is powered by the journalism of the Albuquerque Journal. If you enjoy hearing all of the stories we share with you here daily, please consider becoming a digital subscriber to the Journal by utilizing the discount code in our show notes. Every subscription helps support local journalism and allows us to provide you with the news that matters to you. Now taking a look at Albuquerque's weather forecast, a heat advisory is in effect for Albuquerque today from noon to 7 p.m., and the forecast calls for sunny and hot conditions with a high near 100 degrees. As for this evening, partly cloudy skies are expected with a low around 69. To keep up with all the latest news from the Albuquerque Journal, you can visit our website at abqjournal.com. That's the leading news. I'm Gino Gutierrez. We'll be back tomorrow.